I'm so tired of people saying you need music theory to make great chord progressions.
Because you don't need music theory at all, and let me show you why. Forget everything you think you know, and let's start out with the essentials. Your chords need to be in a key, this doesn't really matter, and you don't need to know anything at all for this. Just make sure you've got scale highlighting on and change the key, and you can change the key by coming up to this little music note here, right-clicking, and just picking any one of these. Now ignore all these letters, the white keys, the black keys, just forget about them. And instead, let's just use numbers. So that extra highlighted note on the keyboard will count that as 1. And that's why I didn't say to ignore the gray keys. Then we can count up from there based on the highlighted notes from whatever random key we picked. So this would be 2, this would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now to make good chord progressions, you'll want to start out with some notes at the bottom. This is like your meat and potatoes, and it's the basis for a fire chord progression. You can just put some notes wherever it sounds good to you, but if you're struggling like I do on a daily basis, you can just remember a handful of numbers and you're good. So for example, one of my go-tos is using the first note, the 6th note, the 3rd note, and then also the 7th note. You can mix this up however you want. Now to turn that into some pretty basic chords, you can go up 2 of the highlighted notes from that first note you got down there and just place a note there, and then do that again. So just 1, 2. I'm certain you don't want to be basic, so let's sauce that up. You can take that middle note and move that up or down one of the highlighted notes just to give it a more darker vibe. Or you can just keep going up 2 of the highlighted notes and placing more of the chord notes. And you can keep doing that as much as you like and make some funky sounding chords like this. That sounds terrible. But that doesn't. And you can keep doing that as much as you like and make some funky sounding chords like this.
Wait, aren't you just teaching music theory, but leaving out all the terms that makes it more complicated?
Even this is too much music theory. Forget scales or whatever this nonsense is that we have highlighted, because we can switch this up mid-beat here, and we can just borrow a chord from any one of these here as long as this letter doesn't change. So I'm just gonna borrow the 7th note from this new scale that we picked. Skip a note, shablam. Skip a note, shablam. And now it's gonna sound a little bit tense at the end here. And that leads into my next point. You want your chords to tell a story. And every good story has some kind of conflict and resolution to that conflict. So I'm gonna leave that tension at the end because that's going to be my conflict. And I'm gonna use these 2 chords to build up to that conflict. And then I'm gonna have that lovely conflict resolution with this first chord here once we turn it into a chord actually. And the reason I'm doing this is because this progression is going to loop back into the first chord. So it's gonna go from conflict and then right into resolution. Now, if your chords sound a little bit jarring, you can move the chord notes up or down an octave, whatever you want to do, just so that they're closer together so it won't sound as jumpy or jarring. So I'm just going to take this note here and this note and bring these up an octave by pressing Control and the up arrow key. Congratulations, you learned some music theory without even realizing it. I'm sorry I tricked you into that, but I hope you learned something from this, and I also hope you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Peace. Nah, I hate that. We don't do the peace. We don't need no peace.
You want more?